Last year, Rich built 36 check dams across my desert ranch. He achieved amazing results in just a week of manual labor, but I feel like I let him down. My mission here is building a desert forest, and I know I could have done much more to support him. Every morning, Rich had to walk a brutal half mile in the sun just to get to the site, and then once he was there, he spent most of his time scavenging for rocks, bringing them one by one to make check dams that trap our desert floods. In exactly 2 weeks, Rich is coming back, and he's bringing 11 others with him to dramatically expand his impact. People are flying in from across the country using their vacation time to help green the desert. I owe it to the people that are supporting me to honor their time and commitment. And that means that before they get here, I need to help them work more efficiently. I don't want Rich walking in the sun again, wasting half the morning walking to and from the work site. I want him driving in his air-conditioned rental truck, and I want to protect that rental truck and make sure that the vegetation isn't scratching up the paint and we're not popping tires.
Just remember, don't take real sharp turns.
Yes. The box blade that Daniel helped me with is for smoothing areas, and in our case, it's for smoothing roads. It's not asphalt, but it is so much better than driving on the dirt roads that I make by using the push blade on the bulldozer. I don't really understand the physics of it. There's something about pulling the material instead of dragging that makes it much more smooth and even. Maybe some of you dirt operators can leave some comments that explain why that works, because I don't get it, but I just know it works. I unfortunately have to start this story reasonably into my day because I made a bad choice. And I think Daniel caught my bad choice on the drone camera. I thought, oh, what a cool shot it would be to put my magnetic clip and my $300 camera on the back of the dozer so that I'd get the box blade, cutting all the material down, flattening the road, making it nice for the volunteers to get over here. And the magnet did not stay on, so that's $300 that I just drove over with my box blade and bulldozer. Good choice. Anyway, so that's an expensive oops. Now I am here at the dam. I need to make it across, and what I'm hoping to do is use the box blade to pick up a lot of gravel and just dump it in my Arizona crossing where it'll make it better. And I need more gravel at the bottom anyway, so this will be a 2-for-1. So now we just gotta clean that up a little bit, but all of this stuff being in there is not a bad thing. The silt, if it ever is used, the spillway, it'll just get washed out, and all this gravel is really good stuff. We can just push this down. We need a lot of stones down here. This will wash out.
Hey Shaun, I found your camera. I'll be over there at this speed in about 10 minutes. Hopefully.
I can't believe the camera is not destroyed.
It still works.
Does it really?
Yeah, I like filming. Hey Shaun, I found your camera.
Oh my gosh.
Very impressed with that camera.
Me too. The bulldozer isn't going to win any races, so while I have it driving all across the ranch, it's easier just to maintain all of the roads instead of some of the roads. Daniel decided to follow me in the mini dumper. We had 300 pounds of corn that we needed to put in the deer feeders. Greg has another YouTube channel, Our Life in Trees. Definitely check it out. The link's in the description, where he focuses on Chinese mini equipment. And very generously, he left this Chinese mini dumper here on the ranch, and it's critical to what we're going to do to speed up the volunteer efforts. It holds up to 2,000 pounds in cargo. I wanted to show you how it works and how impactful it is. It's delivering 300 pounds of corn to a feeder in the middle of nowhere. Think about the check dams. That thing can hold a ton of rocks. It's on tracks. It can go pretty much anywhere on the ranch. So no matter how remote the wash or how difficult the access, with this all-terrain capability, we can get the people really close to the work site, and now we can get the rocks from one spot, take it exactly where the volunteers want to build the check dams, and then their job is just unloading and organizing, and then they can move on to the next dam and the next dam. This tool is going to be the linchpin of how we can work more efficiently.
I know you already know this, but I've read into the height of these a lot, and that's why this isn't lower, because I want javelina and deer to come in. Javelina aren't coming because they can't get to the water.
Yeah. Yeah, we saw their disappointment.
Orange scented corn. Smell it.
Yeah, how bizarre. Don't let me walk off without checking the SD or pulling the SD card on the bad camera.
Okay.
Surely it's got something.
It's got to. I can't see how it looks. There's no way it wouldn't.
All right, I'm gonna get back on the dozer. Before I go get back on the dozer, maybe we should take a look at that game camera and see if it did manage to catch anything. I've not been impressed with that camera. The good camera we have, it catches the mule deer every single night. In fact, it's the one you were watching some of the footage of. It's early morning, it's time for me to head home, and that means changing from my ranch clothes to my normal clothes, which are Fabletics, and they are also today's sponsor. Nearly every day I'm not on the ranch, I wear Fabletics, and that's why I'm excited that they finally added denim, because it is so long overdue. All the clothes I've got from the VIP program are comfort first with a strong eye on fashion. So I don't have to pick my outfits and combos. Everything's done for me. I just pick what I like and it ships as an outfit. The VIP membership with Fabletics is the way to support DUSTUPS. And when you join today, you can get your first pair of jeans for just 29 bucks. The membership program is super easy. Whether it's the 1st or the 5th of the month, you can always put it on pause. You don't have to add clothes to your closet if you don't need it, but the program makes the clothing affordable. You're getting a new look consistently, and you get to support the Desert Forest mission while you do it. The $29 denim offer is only available for a limited time. Make sure you click the link in the description or scan the QR code that you see on the screen. $29 denim, awesome clothing program, support DUSTUPS. The major obstacle between camp and the check dams is the central wash. The floods are powerful enough that this year they dug a 3-foot hole underneath my gabion. You can imagine what it did to my access ramps. So if we want to drive trucks across this wash, I need to rebuild those ramps, and the bulldozer is the only way to do that. So the next step is to connect where I'm standing now to the would-have-been pond that I don't have the right equipment to build. So, by the way, I've updated everybody, but in case you didn't get the update on the pond, that is not happening unless I have a large excavator. The bulldozer is just the wrong equipment. But let's get there, and we'll worry about getting across to get to Rich's dams. Bulldozers are so cool. And then when I come back down, we'll be able to make this a lot less steep, so it's not quite so hairy for the guys in the truck, but on a bulldozer it's not so bad. This part is horrible. I literally made this just good enough that you could get a truck here if you really wanted to. You see all the growth that happened from the disturbed vegetation. I kind of hate breaking it up, but we can always do this again, so let's make a path. Now, when the volunteers are here, imagine that they've driven a half mile, they're at the work site, they're thirsty, they're tired, they're sweaty, they're ready to go back to camp. I don't want them going down that access ramp and driving backwards for about 100 yards. I need to make a turnaround. And I'm trying to balance two things. I don't want to bulldoze the whole area and turn it into a giant parking lot, but I also don't want them going backwards. So what I'm trying to do is to make a turnaround that is comfortable enough for a couple of trucks, but minimizing the damage to the desert at the same time. I now understand why Rich's check dams are working, not just because of the earthworks he's done, but because of the soil type. So being on the dozer and looking at the dirt, I don't think it's obvious to you guys, but I can tell there's actually some moisture in the ground. And that's a big difference between some of the stuff that I was working earlier, where I can look down and just see the visual difference in the moisture. Cutting ground over here, it makes it a little more obvious why there is more lush vegetation in this area, and it's because the soil's different. Over where I'm working, it's a soil type called red light terlingua, and over on this side of the central wash, the soil changes to Ojinaga corazones, and they're really not all that different, but when I look at the soil, I can see the difference because it's been a month since we had that decent snowfall. Over by camp, the soil's bone dry. Over here, there's clearly some moisture. Usually when I see this is clay, when it packs like that. What I hope you're noticing is that access is an overwhelming theme with everything that we do out here, which is a great time for me to address a comment that I see in nearly every episode, which is, why do you plant in straight lines? Well, the reason is access. If I plant circles or just a giant patch of vegetation, whenever I need to bring supporting materials, maybe it's check dams and literal tons of rocks, maybe it's soil amendments, or maybe it's humans to go do the work, I got to be able to get there. And if I spend all of that time just getting to the location, that doesn't advance the mission at all. So by using straight lines, it facilitates access. And that's the reason you're never going to see me plant giant blobs of vegetation, because it makes a mess that makes it impossible to do the whole reason I'm out here in the first place, which is to build the desert forest. A better characterization of my end state is an agroforestry system, not trees and trees growing everywhere. I'm sure we could spend the entire week building check dams, but part of what I really need help with is making a good windbreak. We've already built lines of dirt and made them 4 feet tall, and that has helped, but it didn't fix everything. Daniel posted this video on Team DUSTUPS this week, and I think it'll make it clear just how severe the wind is.
The wind can be a bit of a nightmare, as you can see by everything that got flipped over last night. It was probably about 4 o'clock, I think. And yeah, now I get to clean up. Not sure what a trash can lid is. Haven't found that yet. But yeah, this is some of the stuff we have to deal with. The tables flipped over, chairs. The wind is something that you don't take for granted out here. And that's even with the container, the cabins and all that, it still gets really windy in here.
The team, both remote and in person, are doing all of the planning on teamdustups.com. If you want to be part of the solution, remote or in person, then go register for free. Again, the site's teamdustups.com. We have the mounds of dirt, we have the shipping container. The best solution is Afghan Pine. That's the gold standard in West Texas for making windbreaks, and I have 50 of them that I want to plant on the windward side of the break. The volunteers will help with getting the soil amendments, planting the trees, watering the trees, but the more I can prepare soil amendments in advance, the more trees that they're going to be able to plant and get back to the check dams. The first amendment we start with, it's becoming almost a rule with this project that if we're going to add any material in the soil, it's going to be horse manure. We've had so much success with it that we can get it for free. We have the equipment to bring it, and we have the equipment to spread it. And that's what I'm going to do. Here I'm spreading the horse manure along the tree line. The goal is to add more moisture holding capacity in the soil and enhance the soil life. We're doing everything we can to get these Afghan trees up and growing and established as quickly as possible. We're going for about 20 feet. We don't care if it's exactly 20 feet. All right, y'all tell me, is that pretty close? Okay. The main goal of the volunteer week is to make sure that everybody can plant trees. I want to get that as far along as possible. So I'm going to take Diggy Smalls over to the windbreak, prep some holes, and that way the volunteers can mix in the soil amendments, plant a tree, water it, and move on. While volunteers are on the ranch, it's so much more impactful for them to build water harvesting systems than to plant individual trees. The reason is the systems plant the water, and where there's water, plants will take care of themselves. For this windbreak, I want to do as much of the tree hole digging as I possibly can in advance. When I get on Diggy Smalls and pre-dig as many of these tree holes as possible, my goal is to maximize the impact of the volunteers. They don't need to sit there and watch me dig on a mini excavator. It's better if I knock that out before they even get here. The last time-sensitive issue I need to take care of is the biochar. When we plant, we only have one opportunity to make soil amendments, and I'm not going to have enough horse manure available to plant all 50 trees. I want to have the option of making the best biochar available, and it's better to have too much than too little because it takes 30 days to cure. And the volunteers are going to be here in 6 weeks, so I have to do this right now. I haven't decided if I want to have 1 or 2 barrels. I think I'm going to do 1 full barrel of just shoveled biochar. My problem is that I have that little bag there, but then I have 2 cubic yards of of biochar, but it's so heavy that I can't move it safely in the sacks. I don't have any equipment that's strong enough or big enough to be able to lift it. So I have to come up here and shovel by hand, which is not ideal. The problem is thinking through the workflow, that we are mixing this stuff by hand. One day I need to find a better, more industrial type process to do this, but the one secret ingredient that I really want to fit in here is the cactus glue, just based on the early results I saw. I think that the biology and the soil activity and more importantly, the plant response that I saw, the early germinations, the strength of those germinations, it's going to be really important that we give these Afghan pine the best possible start so that they grow as quickly as possible. The wind out here is murder, and I want to put a stop to it as fast as I can. A key part of this idea is making sure that I don't double handle the material more than I need to. So I'm going to I'm going to see if I can get that sack on here, and then I'm going to try to directly shovel into the barrel. I may have to unload this and then use the dolly to get it back up. But this trailer is an important part of the strategy, because if I was putting the biochar in my truck, I wouldn't have a way to get the barrel down. So this utility trailer makes it super easy for me to load by hand, unload by hand, and then one day we'll come up with a better process that uses equipment. Today is not that day. Let's see how heavy this is. See if I can get this up without covering myself in charcoal. Yeah. Okay. Remy, up! Good boy. And I need to kick off a pain spell, so I want to help you unload.
Well, that's why I came over here to help you unload.
Oh, this is actually pretty easy.
Oh.
I'll get it down the ramp. There we go. One down. Well, actually, I need a working barrel, so we got to have a raw barrel and a finished barrel.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty good idea.
So I realized while I was up there, let's just stick to. We can always get more, but it's gonna box us in if we gotta go buy a barrel. I tried to use the lids and I lost a tiny bit to the wind blowing while I was going around, but all right. And then I want to help you with the room, and I'll make the cactus glue and everything later in the day. Cool. Catch up on our check dam efforts with this update episode from Rich. We built 36 check dams, and then the rain came.